Well, day one in Normandy. Here we are. I am in Saint-Mary-Église. We are outside the Airborne Museum, which is right off the town square. I'm going to take a few video shots for you when I get into the town. Right now I'm going to head into the museum. I've never been there before. I have been to Saint-Mary-Église, but it was my first time to the museum, so looking forward to that. Stay tuned, you'll see some video of the town square itself and the church in town, and you'll see the effigy of John Steele, which to this day still hangs from the church steeple. So stay tuned. Well, here I am inside the Airborne Museum. Here's one of the statues that is outside in the yard, entitled "The Day They Came." As you pan around here, you're going to see some of the additional sites within the museum itself. Something they would have seen a lot of on D-Day, the Sherman tank. It was only €8 to get into the museum, so it was quite reasonable. That's a little under $12. Pan out here, you can see there the Jeep. We have one trooper here with an M1 carbine. 30 cal machine gun mount. This trooper with a Broussard on his right arm. These were used to determine if the Germans were using any kind of a poison gas. The color on that Broussard changed, indicating that they were being exposed to a deadly gas. Pretty amazing the stuff they have here so far. There's a map of the actual invasion on the beaches.
Okay. You heard my whistle, you didn't come. This is a real one. This is an actual real glider. So you think the gliders are small, they're not. And look how many
Inside, we got a Waco glider. It's pretty cool. You get to go inside. I'll be doing that here in a second. Amazing. Some other things I have on display here. One of my favorite guns here, the Thompson. Disassembled M1 Garand, bayonet, just a lot of stuff they probably got that were originally here on D-Day itself, were recovered and now sit forever in this museum. More views inside the museum. We're actually looking at a C-47 here. They have a pretty cool setup here where they have Eisenhower talking to the troops like he did on just before the night of D-Day. If you're familiar with the famous photo of Eisenhower talking to the 101st Airborne, this will look awfully familiar. I'm going to go inside the C-47 if possible. I think you might only be able to go up top and get a view look down, but it's pretty impressive nonetheless. Here's the picture I was talking about of Eisenhower talking to the troops. Quick shot of some of the Allied weapons.
That was invented then.
No, it's not. No, I should have said the thing. No, it's not.
Here we are in the square, Sainte-Mère-Église. We'll just do a quick pan around before I show you the church a little more. And you can see hanging right at the top of the steeple the effigy of John Steele. It's been hanging there for I don't know how long, a lot of years, and they keep it up. I think they do a great job. I did go inside the church. Pretty impressive inside the church as well. I'm going to go around here back to the museum where I just visited. Spent about an hour and a half or so inside the museum. Pretty cool. The museum now sits on a piece of property where there was a house, and on the night of D-Day there was a huge fire in the town of Sainte-Mère-Église. It was in that house where the fire was, and there was a big bucket brigade that was going on trying to put the fire out. This town would have been lit up on D-Day. There would have been automatic weapon fire heard repeatedly. The sky would have been lit up. They do a great job here. There's a lot of shops here if you like to buy things, coffee shops. Obviously very touristy though. A lot of things going on here with regards to tours. You can see just right now it's not raining yet, but it could rain any minute. The clouds are looking like it, and but there's still a lot of people, many Americans. There's a Boy Scout troop here I ran into. I'm going to show you one other thing on the church. I'm not going to video inside the church because there's no talking allowed. Kind of hard to see it from this side. I did take a picture of it, but that is the stained glass window showing the paratroopers. Kind of, like I said, hard to see from this view, but inside, if you look through the light, it's just amazing. I'm going to walk around the town just a little bit. Like I said, a lot of stores here. There's catering to the tourists who come specifically for the D-Day tours and whatnot. I'm going to go out for now. Hope you enjoyed the view of Sainte-Mère-Église. Be back soon. We're done at Sainte-Mère-Église. We are here at the T intersection, which from the second part of Band of Brothers was known as the ambush site. I'm going to show you a little bit here in a second, but it's right behind me, and unlike the movie, it's not an overpass, a bridge. There's no railroad line anywhere near it. There are cars coming and going, so I'm not going to stay here too long, but I'm going to show you the intersection and essentially what happened. Okay, here we are at the intersection. It's basically a T-junction. You can see from the signs, the towns that lay to my right. This is the direction that the German supply caravan was coming from. The ambush was right at this T intersection, headed toward the beaches to resupply German troops. They were ambushed here by members of the 101st Airborne. Unlike the Band of Brothers movie, which depicts pretty much just Easy Company men in the ambush, that is not entirely accurate, nor was the location, but men from the 502 were also involved in that ambush. Colonel Cole leading that charge. And again, the movie did a great job of depicting what these men went through during this little ambush. But, you know, they could have done a better job of putting at least some of the correct characters in the movie to make sure they did a little bit of service to the Deuce, who was also involved in that battle. So again, there's not much here to look at. It's a basic T-junction heading into the beaches. You can see from the sign here, we are about 3.5 kilometers from Sainte-Mère-Église, where we just came from. The intersection D423 and D115. If you want to look it up on Google Maps, you can't miss it. Just look outside of Sainte-Mère-Église for these two roads. This is the intersection that it happened. Not much else to say about it. Watch Band of Brothers if you want to kind of see a little more on it. And right now I'm headed to the crash site memorial for Lieutenant Meehan. As promised, here we are. This is the memorial for Lieutenant Meehan and the C-47 that crashed here on D-Day. It's directly behind me. I'll pan around, but unfortunately the actual crash site itself is in a field behind the memorial, so you're not going to get a chance to actually see the site. If you're on a tour, I think sometimes they let you come in and go in the field, but right now all we can check out is the memorial, and but you know, that's enough. We're here, and pay our respects, and I think that's what's important. I'll just walk in a little bit so you can read the plaque. It's a pretty nice memorial, and they have them all over Normandy. I think that's a fantastic thing. The French people certainly can appreciate, and they don't forget. They honor all the Allied troops that liberated them, starting on June 6 of 1944. They were under Nazi occupation for a long time. Like I said, the actual crash site, I believe, is somewhere behind the memorial there. You can see there's like a little hedgerow here, and behind that is a field. Over to my left here is the church. It's still standing. Obviously been repaired a little bit. Looks like there's some reconstruction on this side. Ironically, there's nobody here right now. I'm kind of surprised. It is a Saturday. It's beautiful weather. I expected rain today. It has sprinkled a little, but overall, I'm quite happy with the fact that there's mostly blue skies above, a few scattered clouds, but it doesn't look like there's any rain coming anytime soon, at least. But there is a nice breeze, so that could change at any time. We are in Normandy, and it is spring after all. The next stop on, I guess you might call it my Band of Brothers tour, is the Marmion Ranch or farm. So we're going to go there now. Next time I will check in with you. I can't go into the farm, but we'll see what we can see, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of the farm buildings that became famous in some pictures from World War II. So we'll check in with you then. I had to show you some of the roads here. These country roads are just amazing. They're barely big enough for one car, but this is a two-way road. You can see the hedgerows on the sides. But as we're driving down, I frequently come across cars coming the opposite direction, and you're like, where do you go? There's nowhere to pull over. There's actually little mini ditches on both sides of the road. It's pretty incredible, but cars are zipping by here, going by me, and I'm probably an inch away from just smacking right into them. Turn right on D15. It's an interesting driving experience for anyone not used to driving on these Norman country roads. Okay, as you can see from the sign, we are at the Marmion farm. We're about less than a half a kilometer from Raveneville, which is directly behind me in that direction. So, like I said, I can't go on the farm, but I'm going to walk down the road, and maybe I'll see somebody who'll let me in. If not, you know, no worse. The farm itself, it's just off the road. You can see it from the road. It's down this little path. We'll take a walk down. Hopefully we don't get in trouble, but like I said, it is private property. Private tours come here and they have access to the farm, but I'm going to walk down, and there is a gate down here. I don't know if anybody's still living on the farm, but it is a working farm, so the buildings here, which I've said to be haunted, do have a house on site. So if you're familiar with the Band of Brothers or just World War II history in general, a lot of famous pictures and video were taken. A lot of paratroopers were misdropped on this farm. There's some video, there's a picture of I think some members of the 502, that one guy holding a flag with a swastika on it. That was taken here at this farm. It's a pretty famous site with regards to World War II and history. Again, kind of surprised there's no tours going on right now. It's a beautiful Saturday. see here, there is a gate. I cannot go in there, but it's unfortunate because there's be some great photo ops inside this gate. But I'll pan around a little bit more, let you see a little more of the farm. You can see that there is a house still sitting here. Whether it's actually being occupied or not, I don't know. Kind of hard to believe that it would be. Doesn't look like there's any activity here, other than maybe, like I said, the tours that come through. They are storing some hay in the barn across from me, so it is a working farm. So that's Marmion. Like I said, about half a kilometer from Ravenaville. Band of Brothers fans will know this site because Forrest Guth and a few other guys were actually misdropped in this location, spent some time at this farm after they landed. See you at my next stop. A little bit wider road here now. We're coming up to Brecourt and we're going through the town of Le Grand Chemin. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but this is where the 506 set up their regimental headquarters on the morning of D-Day. This is where the battle over Brecourt Manor was actually set up somewhere in this little town. Brecourt is just coming up on our right. We're going through the town. I just wanted to show you, because this is where, if you're familiar with the Brecourt Manor assault, you'll know that this is where it all went down. And we're coming up to the field here in the monument. So I'm going to shut down. I'll start up here in just a minute.
Arriving at
Behind me is the monument set up in honor of the 101st Airborne, the men from Easy Company, who died on the assault at Brecourt Manor. I'm just going to talk briefly. I'll turn the camera around so you can see it, and the field behind me where it all went down. So I'll do that right now. I'm now standing outside the farm at Brecourt Manor. We're just down the road, not very far from where the monument is erected. And this is the farm itself. There's a pretty cool thing that just happened. I ran into Mr. Charles de Vallivier, who's the actual owner of Brecourt Manor. He was gracious enough to let me walk in the field. So this is kind of a treat. Not anybody can just walk in. This is private property, so not anybody can just come here and walk through the gate and go out into the field. Paul Woodage, who's a extremely knowledgeable historian and tour guide here, is also on site. I plan on introducing myself to him as well. I tried to get on his tour, but unfortunately he was booked solid by the time I had contacted him. But directly behind me, you can see the tree line. This is where the German 105mm cannons were shelling Utah Beach intensely. So this is where the assault began. The field behind me, I'll kind of pan out a little here. This is where the men of Easy Company had to attack this and the field directly adjacent to it. So I'm going to stop the video right here, walk around a little bit, and catch you at a different location. I'm walking along where the guns were at Brecourt Manor here. This is the tree line. Trenches are all filled in. The Germans had a nice trench system where they could move from gun to gun, resupply. The direction I'm pointing on the other side of these trees is Utah Beach. Not sure the exact location where the guns were, but they were along this tree line going all the way down. Down there you can see there's a couple folks. I can imagine that's Paul Woodage himself on a private tour. This is the field, kind of where the assault came across. And Easy Company had to go across this field to attack these guns. You can see it's quite a distance across here, completely in the open as it was back then, and under intense machine gun fire from the Germans, who had coverage back at Brecourt, which is directly behind those trees. So they were manning some machine guns in the rear, covering this field. But there were also somewhere around 50 plus Germans in these trenches and manning the guns. So they were under intense fire constantly, but it was a successful mission. The guns were disabled and it saved countless lives on Utah Beach. Gonna go down here, take a little video down at the other corner. Now standing in the far corner opposite Breakcourt Manor, way over there. Just had the privilege of meeting Mr. Paul Woodage, again, historian and tour guide here in the Normandy area. Very knowledgeable guy. I tried to get on his tour. He was booked solid. He is extremely popular. If you're going to come to Normandy, get in touch with Paul Woodage. He's apparently the guy to take a tour with. Very knowledgeable. But this is, again, the tree line where the guns were, right here along the left. The assault came from, well, hard to see here because of the trees, but that direction. La Grande Chemin is down that way, which is where I was driving earlier. And you can see along here, another tree line. Don't know the exact assault myself, all the details, but it would have had to come along this direction. And they attacked the Germans. In Band of Brothers, there was a lot that was so realistic about this attack. It's a great, if you watch it, it's part 2 of the series. But this is that location, and it's pretty incredible standing here because there's so much in that movie that was accurate, at least in that battle. We took some liberties because it is a movie, but a lot of accuracy. Again, I'm just going to pan around here. You can see there's still a working farm here as well. Cows out in the field. Monsieur de Valvier was very gracious to let me come onto the property and walk around. It's, unless you run into him, maybe you have to know somebody or whatever, but you just can't walk on here. Yeah. So I guess great timing on my part to run into him. He was over at the farm, just letting a cow into the, or a horse, sorry, into the field, and introduced myself, told him where I was from, and just a nice guy. Just told me just make sure I close the gate on my way out. In Band of Brothers, Sergeant Lipton was seen in a tree shooting on the Germans. Not sure exactly. Probably tree's no longer here, but who knows? Maybe that's the tree right there. There's also a truck or a car in the hedgerows. I don't see anything, haven't seen anything, but apparently it's still here somewhere. It could be on the hedgerow or tree line opposite me. And there's another field. Yeah, this is some of those trees. That's where the monument is. The field. The attack came from the embankment here. I'm going to head back to the monument, take some video of the field from that view, and then we're going to head down to Utah Beach. Okay, like I said, here we are, back at the monument, Breakcourt Manor. I'm going to take some video of the monument itself. You can see here, even says it is private property. So I said I feel very fortunate to have actually been able to walk on the property. Here's a map of the assault. And this is actually a replica of the actual map drawn by the Monsieur de Valvier's grandfather, who owned Breakcourt Manor on D-Day. Tell here the story of the assault. I'll let you read it here. I'll go slowly. You can stop the video too if you need to read it if I'm going too fast. And then the monument itself. You can see that this is actually part of the Breakcourt Manor property, but the corner was donated by Monsieur de Valvier. It's a great monument. It's one of many that 101st Airborne have in Europe, but this is specifically Easy Company, and there's a few specific Easy Company specific monuments in Europe as well. the names of those who died. You can see Thomas Meehan's name is in there. This is the guys who died, not just here on this particular site, but Easy Company men who died on D-Day. Like I said, this is a field on the other side of the trees from where I was earlier. The tree line right on the other side of that horse is where I was. Don't know how much activity happened in this field itself, but the guns were in those trees facing behind me down on Utah Beach. And my Grand Chemin was down that road where that truck just came from. Easy Company attacked. Probably came across along that tree line to my right and attacked from the rear. Not much else to look at here. Like I said, it's a working farm, so unless you're with a tour where you can get a little bit more of the history of what happened here, it's great just to be standing on the monument site and looking out across the field at the tree line. I mean, that's enough in of itself. But we'll head down to the Utah Beach area and go in the museum, go on the beach. I'll take some video of the beach for you. So here we are on Causeway number 2, coming from Summery Dumont. You can see right here on my left, I'm going to take a stop. This is the Dick Winters Leadership Monument. This was put here recently, actually, just a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I believe. And the face on the monument is that of Dick Winters. But the monument itself comes to symbolize all the leadership on D-Day. So we'll go around. You can see here, there's discs at the base. 82nd Airborne, 5th Rangers, 7th Corps, 1st Infantry Division, 4th Infantry, 29th, the 90th, 5th Corps, and the 2nd Rangers. The reason you don't see 101st, it's the one in the middle. Great location too, because again, this is Causeway, what they call Causeway number 2. It heads from Summery Dumont down to Utah Beach. The fields were all flooded. The only dry land was this road, as well as the other causeways. There were 4 main causeways that were the objectives of the 82nd. This is one of them. Easy Company's objectives. Like I said, it's a great day. A little windy, but I mean, that's perfect. Sun's out, it's not so bad, and it's just a great, feel honored just to be here. Another stop before we get to Utah. I'd be remiss not to stop, being part Danish and all. There's a monument behind me that's dedicated to the Danish seamen who lost their lives again on D-Day. This monument on the way off Causeway 2, on the way to Utah Beach, dedicated to the Danish seamen who lost their lives on D-Day. We're here up at Utah Beach. I'm going to take some quick video of some of the monuments here. There will be some starting and stopping of the video from here on out for a little bit. Sorry for the shakiness, but I'm walking. Can't be helped. Try to prevent it gorgeous out today. They've had weather like this on D-Day. Fantastic thing. We'll get on Utah, but a good view of it there. All the units involved in the assault for the U.S. Navy, U.S. Coast Guard. Here on these monuments, pay tribute to all those that came in on D-Day. Sometimes certain groups get a little more attention than others, but it's important to remember that there were many support groups as well as many invasion groups that came in on D-Day. Great monument here. As you can see from the roads I was traveling on, there was not a lot of places to pull over, but everywhere I've been running into these little monuments. You can see this one here in honor of Private J.T. Rowe. They're all over the place, and I don't know if they're in the location exactly where the men died, but just little country roads out in the middle of nowhere, you run into these monuments, and they're all over. Causeway number 2, and I'm sure there are more than just that, but there are also these monuments. I saw these all along the road coming in from San Marino area. What's going on in Utah Beach? Well, here we are. It's Saturday, April 26, 2014. This is Utah Beach. You can see behind me, it's a great day on Utah Beach. Lots of people around. I'll look out into the English Channel. Must be low tide, of course. I'm going to walk around a bit, enjoy the sights, and maybe meet some people, and I'll check back in. Out of the blue, here come some clouds. There's a few raindrops coming down. So, great opportunity to head into the Utah Beach Museum. Monsieur Devalivier, the curator here, who I met earlier over at Breakcore. So we're going to go inside. I'll stop video here, but show this monument real quick to the 4th Infantry Division. You can see their emblem right there. That came in on Utah Beach, and I'm sure the silencing of those guns at Breakcore saved a lot of their lives. We're in San Marie Dumont. Quick stop here before we head out to the next location, which is going to be Carentan. But just before that, Angleville Plain, the church. But in San Marie Dumont, behind me you can see that there is a monument which is erected. It's in memory of the First World War. But there's also a famous photo that was taken of some 101st Airborne troopers standing in front of this monument. I believe it would have been after July of 1944, because this actual monument was taken down by the Germans, from what I understand, at the beginning of their occupation. It wasn't put back up by the Americans until sometime in July of 1944. I'm gonna flip around so you can see a little more of this monument and the church, which is directly in front of me. Here's the monument. I'm gonna come in close. You can actually see the names de Valvier on there. Not sure exactly if that's just because they fought in World War I, but the Valvier family, of course, owns the Brickell Manor, where I was at earlier. Is the church of Saint Marie du Mont, with its distinctive steeple. The town itself is not very large. Slightly smaller than Saint-Mère-Église. Don't know exactly the population, but it's a nice little town, though. Like many in Normandy, it's just a great place to stop in and see the sights. Imagining what happened. Look here. Probably a familiar sight there on June 6th of 1944. Not so much anymore, but I'll stop here as we look at the church, and we'll head on to our next stop. Okay, we're now in the town of Angeville-aux-Plaines. Behind me is a monument erected in honor of the work that was done here by the men of the 101st Airborne. I'm going to flip around so you can see it here. Bear with me. Okay, now you can see the monument. And you can tell that it does say the 501, but you can see that from the 501st Regimental patch right there. Like I said, a lot of monuments in Normandy. They're all over the place. And many of them like this, flying the American and French flag at the same time. Over here is the church itself. I'll take a walk over. I don't know if we can go in. Looks like it's under some renovations. There's some scaffolding all over. I want to quick show you this other monument. Interesting. Place de Coa. Tekoa, of course, being where the 506 did their training. One thing I noticed about Normandy so far, the churches that are everywhere, there's just the architecture of them. Now, sure, they maintain them pretty good, but you know, they're still standing after all these years. These are some pretty old churches. I don't know if you can see from this view or not, but I'll go over this way. One of the stained glass windows right in the middle of the screen there. Eagle's head at the top, jump wings below it, head from the Statue of Liberty below at the bottom. Let's see if we can go in. Out of respect, I'm going to keep my voice down a little, but we are inside the church. which was used as an aid station during the war. The pews still have blood stains, as I'm showing here. From the men that were treated in this church. Like I said, out of respect, I didn't want to, there was nobody in the church, but I didn't want to talk too loud. It is a place of sanctuary. It is, it's still a church, so. And this is Engleville au Plain. Pronounced something like that anyway. On to Carentan. Sorry about some of the video, it's a little shaky and it's not perfect, but trying to get everything in while I'm driving or whatever. But this is Dead Man's Corner you're looking at when these cars are driving by. It's called that because right on that corner sat a tank with a American tanker who was dead coming out the top, and he laid there for a while until he was removed. But I don't know, I think it was a few days. I don't know my history that well, but this is the location. That's why it's called Dead Man's Corner, and that is why you see the Dead Man's Corner Museum on this location. So I'm going to go inside the museum, take a look around. We are just outside of the town of Carentan, which we will be going to shortly. It's actually 3.5 kilometers away, but had to stop at the museum. I do know there's some Dick Winters stuff inside, so a lot of other stuff I'm sure we'll get a good look at, and like anything, I like to see the museums. So this is only the third one I've been to so far. So. Alright, so I just came out of the Dead Man's Corner Museum. Read a little bit up on the tank too. It was an M5 Stuart tank, and it sat right there. The building that is now the museum was an aid station for the Germans. Turns out the tank commander sat in that tank for approximately 5 days. That's what it said in the museum anyway, before other American troops took him and his crew. All 5 of them died in the attack. It was a young German with a Panzerfaust took out the tank with one shot, killing all 5 on inside the tank. The lieutenant commander who was sitting outside the top of the tank, just hunched over dead for 5 days. You see the sign over there, it says Carentan, 3.5 kilometers. That's where we're going next. Just before we get into Carentan, just came from the Dead Man's Corner Museum. Just want to stop and take a look at this bridge here. This was one of the objectives of the 101st Airborne. Bridge over the Douve River. Members of the 502 had to secure this bridge, led by Lieutenant Cole. Into Carentan and what became known as Lieutenant Cole's bayonet charge. We're going to stop at that farmhouse first. It's still there. I believe it's pronounced Ingoof or Ingoof Farm. We'll stop there next before we head on into the town of Carentan. But wanted to stop and just take a look at this bridge, which was a major objective on D-Day. This is just on the outskirts of Carentan. Kind of a busy road. I'm not going to stay here too long. I wanted to show you the farmhouse. I'm going to see if I can get closer parking as well. The farmhouse is the older building, just in the center of the screen right there. But here we are entering the town of Carentan. Like I said, it's kind of a busy road. I'm not going to stay here either long, but this is the English farmhouse. And I don't know if you can see from the picture, but it clearly looks like there's still some bullet holes in the side of the house, farmhouse. But this is what was known, or became famous, because Colonel Cole led a bayonet charge at this exact location. I believe this is the location where he was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, posthumously, of course, as he died in Holland. He didn't receive it until after his death. There is a plaque. I'm going to wait for some traffic to clear. I'm going to run across the road here quickly and see if I can't get a picture of that plaque before I shut my video down. So bear with me. You can see here the plaque, what it reads, so I won't read it for you. Again, I'm not sure if those are bullet holes or not, but if you look on that wall, there's certainly a lot of small craters. All right, on into Carentan. I'm just outside Carentan and just got done visiting a house up the road. It had a lot to do with the Battle of Bloody Gulch. The Germans and Americans, the house changed hands 3 different times from what I was told. Had a great tour by the homeowner. But right now I'm standing just out in kind of the area where the Battle of Bloody Gulch happened. And there's a book by a man, Don Burgett. It's called Currahee. And in the book he tells about his experience in the Battle of Bloody Gulch and where he was injured, which is about right where I'm standing. So I'm going to switch the camera around the other side and you can take a look. The road coming in and out of here is very narrow. And I got the car running, so I'm not going to stay too long. But when you read the book, Currahee by Don Burgett, he talks about where he's injured. And it's about in this exact location. There was a gate here, and I'm looking out across this field where Don Burgett himself would have been fighting. We are more or less in the area where the Battle of Bloody Gulch happened. We're just beyond the gulch actually, but there was a lot of fighting in this area, and over in this direction would have been Hill 30. We're almost near the top of it now. But those who are familiar with Don Burgett, in his book Currahee, would know this location from reading it in the book, but this is it. I'm in the city of Carentan. There's some, I guess, some difference of opinion on exactly where Easy Company came into town, and I'm standing on one of the locations that it could have happened. So I'm going to pan around and show you both directions. Just hold on a sec. Doing a little research. One of the things I found was that this T intersection here is one possible location. I don't know if it's true because there's another one I'm going to next that I'll show you. That could also be a likely location, but if this is the location, Easy Company would have been coming down this road. There's a lot of construction and houses and stuff here now, but more than likely there'd have been nothing really here when they would have attacked from this direction. So again, not sure exactly if this is it, but this is one of the locations that my research found as a possibility. Leave it up to you to decide what you think. This is the possible other location where the intersection occurred, where Easy Company might have come in. I'm going to look up the road here. This is more or less pointed a little bit south, whereas the other location would have been coming in almost due west. There's some thought that there was machine guns in the house right there. Again, there's differences of opinion because I've done the research, and it looks like some think it's this location, some the other. So it's hard to say for sure. The other location is just 1 block to my left. So it just depends on what direction Easy Company approached Carentan. Was it more from a westerly position, or was it more from the south? We're gonna go to the aid station. Doesn't look like much, but that teal colored storefront or house front, whatever it is, that's the aid station. In Band of Brothers, Dick Winters was treated for a bullet fragment to his foot. It was in this location that occurred. Again, this is a short walk down. It maybe took me a minute to get down from where really both locations of where Easy Company would have entered Carentan. So this makes sense. If this was indeed the aid station, then it makes sense that that location was one of those locations is at least pretty accurate. So again, if you're familiar with the movie Band of Brothers, the aid station right here. I just left the location of the aid station and I saw this, so I said I got to take video of this. It did and it has been raining, sprinkling just a little bit. There's a beautiful shot of a perfect rainbow here in the city of Carentan. You can see the rail line right here. Easy Company fought in the Battle of Bloody Gulch somewhere south of this rail line, and I've tried to find the location, but I've been unsuccessful. But I thought I'd end this video series with that rainbow right there. I'm standing in the Carentan town square. You see the road directly in front of me. There's a plaque right here, which kind of tells the story of a ceremony that was being held right on this square to award medals to soldiers in the 101st Airborne. There are actually two, one on June 20th and another on June 23rd. The one on June 23rd, General Taylor spoke to the crowd in French. They were very pleased with that. When an 8-year-old girl was presenting some flowers to one of the recipients of an award, when 2 German 88 shells exploded on the square, killing the girl and causing approximately 50 casualties. None were soldiers. They're all civilians, at least according to the plaque in front of me. But this is the square where that awards ceremony was taken. And if I zoom in here, you can see that this is a picture of one of those ceremonies. I believe this is the one on June 23rd, 1944. You can see the statue right there, and you can see the soldiers lined up. Another picture. Pictures of the awards being given out to the men. And there's the poor little 8-year-old girl. You can see she's given one of the men some flowers. But this is the square in Carentan. The monument itself was erected. You can read from the monument that it was in honor and memory of the children who died for France during the First World War. And their names are in the plaques on the sides of the monument.